and welcome to a special. Whoa, yeah.
Now,
Welcome to a special episode of Witches and Wine. I am your hostess with the mostest. I have been out of touch with reality for the last few weeks, so please forgive me. But I am your hostess with the mostest, Lola Stardust, and this is the show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. Clink and drink. Come on, Dusty. Clink and drink. So before we start, I did want to mention a few things. This is a special episode because we're doing an actual call on Skype. We're so high tech. I know it's ridiculous, but it's high tech to us. Our studio someday will be high tech, but this is what you get.
It's our first remote guest.
It's our first remote guest, so that's really exciting. I have been out of commission for a while, so this is my first time back in about 3 weeks. I was out of town, and then I got really sick, so I am actually drinking water and a tiny bit of orange juice and a tiny bit of champagne. That is all I can drink because I'm on antibiotics. So these guys are going to drink for me, and Dusty, you have some for me as well. So before we start our topic, we have a couple wines introduced. Would you like to introduce your wine first, Dusty?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So you always bring such delicious wines that you bring into your home, and I thought I would share a delicious wine that often graces my own home's table.
I love
This
it.
is a world classic Burgundy. For those that don't know, Franzia is the world's most popular wine.
It is.
Yes. And additionally, though it is not popular to say so, it has been proven that Mylar bags actually keep your wine fresher than a bottle in a cork.
They do. I love them for that.
Yes.
And because of the fact no oxygen reaches them, they actually stay good up to 3 to 6 months based on this thickness of Mylar of the bag.
Oh, really?
Yep.
See, we got our wine expert here.
Well, and we're actually the store and company I work for. The exact store I work for is actually the largest Franzia seller in the world. My store.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I will be clinking and drinking this evening.
Woo! Clink and drink,
Thank you.
Dusty. Thank you for sharing. So why don't we talk about the special wine that we have, or champagne that we have?
Well, it's a Cremant, and here it is. A Cremant is
There we go.
is a style of sparkling wine where it uses all the French traditional methodologies of making champagne, but it is not from the Champagne region, so it cannot be called champagne.
Or champagne.
It is actually from the Burgundy region, so we're both going Burgundy tonight. Excellent.
Ooh.
Unbeknownst to both of us.
Synchronicities.
But because it uses the traditional methodologies of champagne making, which is a double fermentation process, it does get treated as a French sparkling. That's why it's called a Cremant. This is a Brut, which is the driest of all styles. What we're drinking is a Louis Bouillot. That's between $20 and $30 a bottle. Very dry, which is Brut is the driest of all champagnes and sparkling wines. And it has less carbs for those on the keto diets.
Oh.
This helps. So sparkling wine is best for this. The notes and flavors you're going to get are a little bit of apple, a little bit of peach, and you get a slight bit of yeastiness or biscuitiness, which is what you get in true French sparkling wines. So we're going to go ahead and move on from there because anyone knows anything about bubbles, bubbles often lead to a good time that night. And so this will bring us into our topic. So I'm going to have Lola take over from here.
Do you want to switch places or do you want to stay here?
I'm going to step out because I'm going to go enjoy the legalities of Washington for a moment.
Oh, yes.
And I will return.
Our wine connoisseur is taking a sacred herb break. All right. Hi, Yasleen.
Hello, Lola. Hello, as I like to say.
Hello, La.
Hello, Lola.
And so let's start our topic. I wanted to talk about sex in the craft and our opinions about it, our views on it. What do we think it is? Some people I have heard have misconceptions about it.
A lot.
My favorite is when I get the random person in Second Life that finds out I'm a witch and I think we're going to have a spiritual conversation. I think actually, Dusty, you referred his email to the help desk, and I answered it, and ended up all this guy wanted to know is, so you're a witch, you must have a lot of sex. It was constant. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Dusty.
I'm so glad that I found paganism young. I could just blame it on being in puberty.
No, it's okay. It's all right. So I'd like to go and turn it over to our people here on this side, and then we'll turn it over to Dusty. What is your perception? What do you feel sex in the craft is? What is the definition of it in your belief?
A sacred act.
Okay.
A fun sacred act.
Yeah.
A very fun sacred act.
The
A sacred act that can be very enjoyable to partake upon.
And
Within.
you quite frequently call deity.
yes. Oh goddess. Oh goddess. And then I turn into Tina Turner. Oh goddess. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, so that's my definition of sex in the craft. Apparently, is Tina Turner. Anyone else want to talk about what they, how they view it? One of our guests is having fun with the dogs and Bubbles. So, can you talk about sex in the craft? What it is and what it isn't?
I'd be all about it.
Sure.
If you have any questions, just pipe up, or if
we will.
want to interject, just be like, "Hey, stop."
Yeah, I'll shut you up. I'll be like, shut up. I'll be
No.
a little boy.
So I remember when I was 16, I went to my first pagan festival. That was PSG when it was still at Wisteria in Ohio. And I was just certain that I was going to be drug off by ravenous, sex-starved pagan women who were just going to turn me into a man. That didn't happen.
Oh,
So-
you were really disappointed.
No
too, huh?
deflowering that year.
But, you know,
Talking about.
eventually what was that?
You planted a garden that weekend. What are you talking about?
Really quick, I'm sorry. Could you introduce who you are to those who are under a rock and don't know about you?
Absolutely. Hold on. Wait a second.
Franzia.
Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy.
We've been coming to the same party for 15 years, and that's in no way depressing.
Aww. Clink and drink.
Clink and drink.
Clink and drink. Clink, 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 clink.
So, my name is Dusty Dionne. You could technically call me Lord Dusty Dionne. I am a third degree in the wise tradition of the ATC. I am the high priest over here at the ATC Mother Church in Index, Washington. And this spring, I'm getting elevated to archpriest of the ATC.
Congratulations.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. Yay!
Should be cool. Spring Mysteries Festival. Wendy Rule will be there. It'll be awesome.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So,
I like
But-
how you said her name. You were all like Wendy Rule, like yeah, no
Is
big
she
deal, no big
she's
deal.
awesome. She's cool as all get out.
Yep.
The one time that I got to talk to Wendy Rule, Bella and I were butt naked at PSG.
Nice.
And well, when you're at a clothing optional festival and it's raining, it's best to just take your clothes off and put them in a bag, walk through the rain, dry off, and put your clothes on when you get where you're at, when you get where you're going.
Yeah.
But Bella put her clothes under a chair that Wendy Rule then sat in and started playing her concert.
Nice.
So
It's like
Bella
that.
had to go up and interrupt and be like, "Excuse me, all naked." Wendy Rule's like, "I can tell you that doesn't happen every show."
That's amazing.
So,
So okay, so sex in the craft. Yes, thank you for introducing yourself. So go ahead.
so a little bit of background on why people often talk to me about sex in the craft to begin
Yes.
with is because I was trained by having my high priestess also my lover.
Okay.
And that's very classic in paganism. It's something that people shy away from nowadays. They'll tell you things like, you can't actually give consent in those situations because the teacher has power over you. And since the teacher has power over you, you as the student can't actually say yes or no without it being influenced by their power.
Yeah.
Now, I don't entirely agree with that because magic is practiced and taught between two consenting adults, just the way sex is.
Yeah.
And what I will tell you right now, the elevator blurb about sex and the craft, consent. Everything's about consent. And if you consent with the other person to the relationship you have, then as much as it's not okay for you to force somebody into having sex, it's equally as, in my opinion, inappropriate to then judge people who are adults who have made their own contracts about sex.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really individual. Some people, it's everything for them. They're searching for a teacher that can teach them about the craft, but also the sexual part of things. I've talked to old heads inside of the craft that say that back in like the 60s and 70s, they called Wicca the Tantra of the West because it was very much about raising your spiritual vibration through stripping away the Abrahamic dogmas of sexuality and the shame that we have all grown up with because of the Abrahamic dogma.
Well, do you find that also I've talked to people who just have partners that they have sex with only in the circle and nowhere else? Is that something you've heard that's common before? Because that's kind of a common thing I've heard of.
I have not actually met people that only have sex with each other in circle and don't have an actual relationship with each other. But again, it's all about consent and what you're what you've already set up with somebody.
Yeah. And I've often wondered how that works, because do you find, like, you know, my priest in my coven is my husband. So he gets to have that side to everything, which is really nice. It brings us together intimately better, but it also makes us work really well together in circle when we are invoked. So do you find that is why that is such the way to go? Because I know when I joined my old coven, my previous coven, they preferred couples to be in their circle together. It didn't happen. It happened a couple of times, but like Phil was like, I'm not joining that coven. I'll wait till you hive off. I was like, I get it, you know. So I can see why, because at first I thought, well, that's interesting, but as I've advanced and worked more with my working partner, who's my husband, I can see the benefits to that. So would you think that's why? Because it just works really well, the energy?
I would say that that's probably the case. Though in our church, we don't ever really bring up, hey, you should have your partner in circle. We don't do a lot of sexual energy in actual circle in our groups, other than like the great rite with the chalice and the blade.
Yeah.
But
in token rather than an actual.
What was that?
In token rather than an actual.
Yes. In fact, I have never been in a non-initiatory situation where there was an actual great rite and circle. I've just never been privy to that. Yeah, and I'm Gardnerian.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sexually transmitted.
That's why, and I hate to say this because I'm assuming, but that's why I wanted to talk to you. I assumed because you were Gardnerian and you were pretty, and that's an assumption on my part, but I assume Gardnerians, the ones I've talked to, usually they do that they go that traditional side, the actual Heros Gamos great rite.
So
I'm doing
this.
You're X-Pac.
Yeah.
Vamos, vamos! Take your marriage!
Without giving away too much, because you're talking about the initiatory activity, have you heard of people that have perform Heros Gamos in circle in every Espet or Sabbath compared to certain Sabbats? compared
I'm
to
going to tell you a story. Wait, you're breaking up. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Tell your story.
So, I'm not going to name any names because people in the story, and everyone in the story is old.
Okay.
But some of them are still alive. So, I don't feel right telling names.
You do. We don't want you to. Go.
So, I'm talking to an elder, and they tell me one day about another elder. And these are pretty famous folks. And they said that Elder 1 said that Elder 2 had made mention that to truly do magic with other people, you had to be very connected with them on a very personal level.
Yeah.
And that the only way to truly have that with your coven was to have sex with everyone in your coven every day.
Every day? No.
And Elder,
I was thinking
Elder
like
1,
at one point.
Nope. Every day. And Elder 1 said to Elder 2, I'm not going to tell anyone you're crazy, but you're fucking crazy because I just don't have that time in my day. So
Yeah.
there are totally people in the craft that there's a lot of different ways to connect your energy that intimately. And it doesn't have to be through sex. But there are a lot of people that are attracted to paganism because of the lack of dogmatic minutia around sex.
And
And
I think that's made by design because we're pagans that, you know, I mean, paganism, you kind of, not make it up as you go, but you know what I mean? Like we're all just learning things and, you know, even having an organized religion in Wicca and whatnot. I mean, we're all just trying to, you know, do the best we can. So I feel that sex in the craft may have that reputation by design from just being truly pagan. Does that make sense?
it does. I believe personally that one of the only things that really, even within Wicca has so many blossoms on that lotus that are different from each other, right? And they're all the same flower, but they're all different.
Yeah.
But the thing that we all kind of agree on is that we're a fertility religion. And that means different things to different people.
Yes.
But we are a fertility religion. At our core, we believe in a projective and a receptive force that come together to create. And that is the universe. And so a lot of our ritual, a lot of what we do centers around encapsulating that energy and producing it, promoting it, and showing it so that it can enrich those around us and they can grow. The easiest way to do that is to have sex.
Yeah.
But there are many other ways to do that as well. A chalice and a cup, a seed and a pot. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But I do believe that at our core, we are constantly finding ways to show that sacred coupling.
Yes. Because it's symbolic and there you can get those energies, and I think it's an important one. And then we could go off on another
and some wine.
We could go off in a rabbit hole and talk about how there's a lot of Wiccans who don't like that perceptive or projective receptive energy, but that's a whole different show.
Well, actually, can I talk about that for 1 second?
Well, yeah. If you yes.
So I think that we have moved past gender roles, and that doesn't change what Wicca is. And though we don't say it takes a priest and it takes a priestess, it takes a man and it takes a woman, what it takes is someone who is projective and someone who is receptive. Yes. And that can look however it is you need to look, because it takes somebody to plant the idea, someone to receive it, and that is how you create church, community, projects, anything.
Yeah, I like that. That's that. Thank you. That's
a clink and drink.
Yeah, that's a clink and drink. With my water bottle.
With your water bottle.
My water bottle. I know. I've antibiotics. I can't drink. Oh well.
Hey, you can
see better. So
it's technically drinking.
Yeah, I'm drinking water. Yeah. Oh, you're frozen. And you look, and there you go. And you're back. Oh. No,
I've seen that face before.
You looked kind of stoned when you were frozen. I was like, you look
Awesome.
Awesome.
I'm also in Washington.
Yes, we're Washingtonians. We love it. So, did you want to explain more how you go to places you've been asked? You said to do discussions. What is the format that you do? Is it a how long are your discussions? Would you be able to teach a class on this? Have you done several workshops? I'm asking a lot of questions. I'll shut up.
No, that's okay. Gives me a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't have a specific format. I usually talk about how I met Bella, how I got into training, how that training has looked, how other people have reacted to that training, and how I've responded to the way that they've reacted to it. And then I ask questions. So, but basically, I have never, since I got into formal training, been in the world of Wicca that didn't have sex with their teacher, because I met Bella not as my teacher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I met Bella. I came down to start working on her house. We totally fell in love, and she became my teacher after that.
Yeah.
So, though I wanted a teacher, I wanted her to be my teacher. I believe that no matter what, that's where it would have led.
Yeah.
We started having sex before we started working in circle together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, a quick background is I cussed out Goddess. I was 21. I was really drunk, and I cussed out. I cussed out Goddess and told her if she didn't give me a teacher, that I was quitting.
Ooh.
And I met Bella 25 steps later. There she is. Yeah, I took 25 steps to the coffee house at the festival and met Bella.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, tell them about how we met.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty.
Oh, thank you.
doesn't she?
Yay. Look at them.
So,
We love you too. I'm gonna go get my wine and listen to your story.
oh, please do. So from day one, I have been learning the craft while also studying the Sun Lover Consort mysteries, which are the older woman and younger man, the helping bring the young male Oak King energy into the Priest King energy through the woman with experience, helping a man grow up into what is a full balanced male and female energy. We used to do this a long time ago. We don't do this anymore, right? But it's no different from, I guess, if an older stately gentleman had met a fresh girl out of college and taught her how to work in the business field while also learning to be a woman, and they were also sleeping with each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same kind of energy, and it's been special and powerful because it was built on trust. It was built on consent and making and sticking to the deals that we made with each other. And when those deals didn't work anymore, going back to the table and making sure that we were on the same level with each other. It's all about being an adult and being consensual. But all of a sudden people go, oh, I'm in this sexually open area. These women aren't stopping me from having sex with them. Everything must be good. Oh, wait, now all of a sudden my wife's mad at me because she says I cheated on her. Well, yeah, because you did. Just because those women are sexually uninhibited and free with their bodies doesn't mean that they're responsible for your arrangements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your contracts, your bonds. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
So we stay within those bounds.
Yeah.
And when we decide that our boundaries need to be different, we change them. We talk about them.
Yeah.
And we find consensus, real consensus, which is everyone getting what they need in something.
And that's important.
So,
and I know that's Phil and I, we get to, or Silenus and I are, he didn't decide to come to the craft till way after I did. So it was kind of nice because I didn't push it on him, and he decided by going to Spring Mysteries a few years ago, and he fell in love with Poseidon and had a moment, and he came out.
I thought he fell in love with me.
Well, you were.
That's a different kind of love.
That's a different kind of love. We don't want to talk about that.
Don't pout, drink wine.
Yeah, drink wine.
Objective and a receptive. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know quite about that much.
That was a special ritual. Anyway, oh my god, I sound like Muttley. Anyway, but I was able to just watch. I've been able to watch him grow as an initiate, and then share that. It's really brought wonders to our marriage. I mean, it brought us closer. So I totally get that energy. I think that is important. But I do also know other circles where, like I said, I met a man at a Hecate sickle. I think my very first festival I went to, I met someone that was telling me and my coven sister at the time that he was in a circle where you just had your working partner. If there was any sex in the craft or in the circle, that's what those two did. But they had absolutely no relationship outside. Some of them were married or had significant others or whatnot. And
Interesting.
yeah, and I was like, how does that work? There's gotta be, I mean, let your freak flag fly. If it works, then fucking do it. I'm like, but
as long as you're honest with everyone involved.
Yeah.
Yes, but then he started talking about some little dramas here and there, and I'm like, and that's why. Like, at first he made it sound like, yeah, we're all adults about it, but then, like, as we got some more wine in him.
That never happens. What are you talking about?
Not in our presence.
I know. People get drunk around me. That's really weird. But, yeah, then it started, some drama stories started coming up, and I'm like, see, and that's why, but thank you but I'm here to listen and learn, so, before we have you talk more, I want to make sure we get some questions. Does anyone have any questions for Dusty before we go to some other?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you ever use sex magic in any rituals?
Oh, I mean, personal rituals. So there's 8 paths of power in Wicca, and one of them is the Great Rite. And so, yes, we use sex magic. Do we use physical humans penetrating other humans magic? No, I have not ever done it in a public ritual, unless you count an initiation. I had a traditional elevation for my 3rd degree, which involves a traditional Great Rite instead of a symbolic Great Rite. So, yes, but Bella and I have done all kinds of magic. And that is one of the reasons I really advocate. I wrote an article, and you can find it online. It's called Sex in the Craft. I believe it's on Panegyria. If you look my name up, Dusty Dionne, Sex in the Craft, you'll probably find it. And one of the things I talk about is that I think a lot of people really aspire to find somebody that they can work magic with and have sex with so they can explore those mysteries. And Bella and I have done all kinds of stuff that you couldn't do with somebody that you didn't feel comfortable enough to have sex with.
And that's again, there's the preference of not judging people who can maybe do that with several sex partners in the crowd. That's fine if it works for them, but I do find that the sex magic that me and Phil have done has been amazing. I mean, it just in the power of the orgasm and what you ask for in that moment, and together, and the energy bond. I mean, there's so much magic and power you put out into the world from that joining. So it's really, really strong.
I've been in ritual.
Yeah.
I have been in a ritual that just tried to put sex into it. And it was a ritual that I've done before, right? And had sex during. And it was powerful.
Yeah.
And then went through the exact same ritual where the person, instead of using it as, and if you can excuse the term, a sacred fucking, it was just trying to have an orgy sort of energy. And it was not the same thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was dirty, not spiritual.
Dirty, not spiritual. I mean, dirty's good for some. Awesome. Dirty's great.
Primal can be spiritual, but if you're going, it can be primal energy that instead of like a ascended, it's more descended rather than the ascended energy that you're going for.
That makes sense.
transcendental.
And
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah,
know
and,
right intentions either.
and the ritual still worked. The ritual still worked.
Yeah.
It did not have the kick that the sacred sex had.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes perfect sense. Does anyone else have a question for Dusty?
So-
Can I say something real fast? Real fast. You were talking about people having sex in the coven and people having being suggested to have their partners there. So when partners won't come to our events, what we do is tell their partners that every time their partner does something that helps them come to the church, to have sex with them or go down on them. So, and that way, by the time it's done, they're like, oh, I love your church. I'm coming. And I'm also going to go to your church with you.
I'm just saying that gratuitous blowjobs help things out.
Gratuitous blowjobs help out reluctant partners.
Oh, gratuitous.
I train people for a living. I know how to push the buttons at work. Blink and crave.
Does
Okay.
anyone have any other questions for Dusty, and then we'll do a little more talking.
So how do you explain
Sorry.
ritual sex magic to someone who is in a marriage or a relationship with someone who is non-pagan or believing?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Thank you.
So usually I talk about the non-traditional ways to promote sex magic, and I talk about how we're a fertility religion, and what that means is a projective force and a receptive force, and then I explain how that can be experienced in different ways. But if somebody is like, no, I literally want to know about you and someone else and sex magic and how actual sex works in ritual, then I just tell them. I tell them that every time I've done it, it's been incredibly powerful and that it's built on trust, and that you can't just find a random person and have long sustained sex magic, that you have to build trust and build a relationship. You might be able to find someone. In fact, the year that I met Bella, I hooked up with 2 girls at that festival before I met Bella, because I was there for a month before she ever showed up and helping the land.
Yeah.
And both of those were single time, beautiful, amazing experiences that were highly spiritual. The one girl, after it was over, she wrote in my journal and told me my name was Dionysus. This is the first time anyone ever called me Dionysus.
Yeah.
The next girl, when we had sex, it was amazing, and she screamed out, "This orgasm is for Dionysus," not knowing the other girl or what had happened. And then I meet Bella. She invokes Dionysus into me, and we ended up having an amazingly powerful weekend.
Yeah.
And so you can have a one-off experience with somebody, many ships pass in the night, and you can garner incredibly powerful experiences from those experiences, as long as you do things in, like you said, Mad, an elevated way, a way that uses consent and established boundaries, and this is who we are and where we are right now and what we're doing, and that's okay. And so you just got to have that.
Yeah, it's
I'm all about trust.
The difference in regular sex and sacred sex is whether or not you're worshiping the person. Sacred sexuality is when you are worshiping that person as though they were deity, and you are experiencing deity through them.
Yeah.
That's different from mundane sex. That's where the line is.
Yep.
Hold on, we gotta go ahead and go across. We got kids we gotta handle.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about kids? Let's talk about kids.
What's wrong?
Oh, buddy.
So, what other topics, when you do talk about this at workshops or discussions, how do you usually what is your goal? Are you just educating? Are you not, I guess, changing someone's mind, but I guess, have you had people come to you and say, after listening to you speak about this, I understand it better, and is that a common comments that you get?
I wouldn't say it's common, but what I have had said to me is that I have shown women what it looks like when there is a sacred male sexuality, which I found to be an incredible compliment, because so many women are so used to nasty men's sexuality, people who are aggressive or lecherous or yucky. So when someone comes up to me and says, I read your thing about sex in the craft, and I find it to be open and warming, and it makes me have faith in the way men are. I was talking to this feminist, again, I'm not going to say any names, and she is like gone to college for feminist studies.
Yeah.
Okay? And I said to her, I love when a woman's in the kitchen. And she, whoosh, and I said, now listen to me.
Sorry.
I said, hear me out for 1 second. I said, it's not because I think it's a woman's place, but it's because when I see my partner in the kitchen cooking dinner, I feel loved. It's the same feeling you would get if you were sitting in the house cold and I was chopping wood for our fireplace.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh my God, my man, he's chopping wood for me. And she looked at me and went, I can get behind that. I was like,
yeah.
Because that's how I feel about sexuality and just the role of love and acceptance and connectedness. It's a two-way street. It's about respect.
And do you find that talking about sex in the craft does help, like you said, that's a big part is our roles in our life, our sexual roles, our sexual identities. Gender has a lot to do with it. So it seems to me when this topic is talked about, it's educational, but it also makes us understand, and like you said, we're adults. We know what our roles are. We know where our roles are in a sacred sexual relationship and in a non-sacred. But every moment is sacred with my husband. Big sacred stick. Oh, sorry. Whoa. I'm not even drunk. This is just
Get a little more. I need more wine for that.
big sacred stick. Clink and drink. I'm telling you.
I got tea now. Woo! I ran out.
So this, I think this topic. Huh?
The staff.
I find that talking about things releases the taboo and helps us come to an understanding about stuff. When things are not allowed to be talked about, then people can make up whatever they want in their minds, and they can sit with whatever poison might be in there. And talking about stuff helps us sap any poison that might be within a subject for us and help us really understand where other people are coming from. Because a lot of the problem with sex in the craft is your perception about me. And it's not about my perception about what I'm doing, but it's your perception about how you're judging my actions against what you find to be safe.
Yeah.
And those two things don't play. You have to judge a person's actions on who their circle is. And you don't know what. I could have arrangements with everyone in my circle of friends that are crazy as all get out, that if anyone else saw it, they'd be like, oh my God, they're swinging from the chandeliers. But if I have consent and nothing I'm doing is illegal, then for you to judge it is exactly that. It's judgment, and it's not actually fact. It's not based on anything other than your own preconceived notions and prejudices about what I'm going through.
Well, and it's good to clear up misconceptions, because everyone, especially when it comes to sex in circles, sex in the craft, you're going to hear rumors. You're going to hear people's version of what they think it is. Like that guy I told you about who just wanted to talk to a witch because he thought that's all us witches do is just we're naked all the time and we just have sex with everybody, And it's like, that's how, and it could be how it's portrayed on media and whatnot, but you gotta kind of nip that in the bud with people, because it tends to, when it is about sexuality and that's where it can go. You said it's taboo, so that's one of the things. We already have enough judgment on us as witches and pagans, so let's clear up those big ones. No, we don't sacrifice children, only if they're behaving. No, just kidding. That's what I keep for my kids.
People always, if they want to make up a rumor about me and Bella and what we're doing, they say that we're sleeping with our students. And the only reason I can think that they say that is because Bella and I had sex with each other. Yeah. And now
wishful thinking.
Yeah, wishful thinking. We'd have a way bigger coven.
He almost made
Just
water.
saying. No, but all jokes aside, Bella and I are monogamously polyamorous. We've had girlfriends before, we've had people, but we are not a sleep with all the people around us. We're a have relationships. Okay? Yes. And the one girl that we had a relationship with since we moved to Washington is, I said, I don't want to be that person's teacher in front of everybody. Yeah. And they were like, why are you saying that? I'm like, no, I just don't want to be that person's teacher. And then we ended up dating, and I had made no bones about the fact that if there was going to be a delineation between being teacher and having a relationship, that I wanted to explore having a relationship. And so when that person got into a relationship with me and Bella, they knew exactly what we were getting into. Yeah. And exactly where we were. But sleeping with everyone in the community, having a rotating bedroom, sleeping with people in our coven.
Not. And that's good to clear it up. I like that because, we're all human. We listen, but we also we're adults here. This is a group of adults, and that's why we can talk about it openly and say, hey, yeah. Because but everyone has rumors about, me and my husband have rumors about our relationship. I'm sure there's and some are true and some aren't. And it's just, if you get to know us and you know what we're about and you feel our energy, you'll kind of figure out what we're about. We're pretty awesome.
You're like 1940s jazz.
That's right.
That's what your energy's like.
Best compliment ever that I gave you. You're like 1940s.
Right back, girl.
I actually said you were like 1940s black jazz.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, and you were like, Bella, I just got the best compliment ever. Well, before we wrap up, does anyone have any last things they want to say? Do you have something you want to say? I feel like we could talk forever and ever, but
this is a topic that could go on.
Well, I like Dusty even more now.
Oh, Angie likes you even more now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. It's been awesome looking at your sexy faces and just enjoying being with you. I love y'all.
Zoolander faces.
Now, Dusty, are you able to rejoin us here in a couple moments for the after party?
Oh, yeah.
I was smiling. It was hard.
No, we're going to do the after party. Yeah. Ignore that. We do an after party divination thing that we film.
Okay. So, I've got a house full of people that are below me that I told to fuck off because I was coming to Francia with you guys.
Yay! Well, I think what we'll do, how we'll wrap this up is we'll just end the call so it'll stop the recording automatically, right? Mm-hmm. Or do you just want to stop the recording and then...
We can stop the recording, that's fine.
Just stop the recording.
I love you guys.
We love you. Thank you so much, Dusty. And remember, if anyone wants to be a guest... Bye, Bella. Bye. If anyone wants to be a guest on Witches and Wine, you can email us at
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
That's
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
Or find us on Facebook. And we would love to have a guest. Thank you so much, Dusty. We'll see you definitely at Spring Mysteries. We're going to be there.
You absolutely will. Have a good one.
And we're going to drink some of that Franzia. So that's right. We love you, Dusty. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Oh, that's a great screenshot.
I gotta get this going.
How long will we go? And there we go. And end. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.